By the end of this video, you will learn what are the basic ingredients for a college essay, and you will also learn how to organize those ingredients to achieve an effective and clear argument. Believe it or not, the best way to start writing an essay is not with the introduction. It's a lot of pressure to write the first sentence first, so we will save that for much later. My students and I have discovered that the most effective and logical way to begin writing an essay is by brainstorming and jotting down words and ideas. You can learn more about that in the video, Your Writing Process. You may have heard that every essay you write in college will be different, and that is mostly true. But in college writing, most of your essays will be argumentative, meaning you will argue some side of an issue and present reasons about your position. So they all require basic ingredients. First, an introduction that contains a clear argumentative sentence, what we will call a thesis statement. Second, support for your argument, what we will call the body of the essay, contained in the multiple paragraphs between the intro and the conclusion. And lastly, a conclusion that shows relevance. Even though most essays you write in college will argue a point, make certain you understand what the essay requirements are. After some brainstorming, start your essay by jotting down just 3 to 4 key sentences. That's right. Think of these 3 to 4 sentences as the backbone or the foundation of your paper. Once you have these sentences written, the rest of the essay will fall into place. The first sentence to write is a thesis. A thesis statement is usually the one sentence in your essay that tells your reader specifically what you are arguing and what reasons you have to support your argument. Let's say your instructor assigns an essay in which you need to argue a point about the classic fairy tale Little Red Riding Hood. Your thesis may look something like this. Little Red Riding Hood contains a feminist message because it reminds readers that women, in an effort to overcome men in the world who prey on their innocence, must develop wisdom and tenacity. In this example, we have 3 main ingredients for a solid thesis statement. 1. A specific topic, Little Red Riding Hood. 2. A debatable phrase, Little Red Riding Hood contains a feminist message. And third, support for your argument, usually in a because clause, because it reminds readers that women, in an effort to overcome men in the world who prey on their innocence, must develop wisdom and tenacity. You will expand on your because clause or your support more clearly in the body paragraphs. Notice that a good thesis starts off specific and becomes even more specific as the sentence continues. Also, thesis statements should not be common knowledge or too general. This example is nice in that it is specific and debatable. In other words, someone should be able to disagree with you about your claim. Let's look at a thesis that's not working because it's common knowledge and not debatable. Little Red Riding Hood is a story about a young girl who encounters a dangerous wolf. This statement is obvious and is not debatable, so it's not an effective thesis. After you've got your thesis statement, take a moment to breathe and accept that your thesis may change while you write your essay. Yes, it happens all the time. Often as we write, our ideas change, so just let that be okay. I've even had students who start off arguing one point, but as they read, research, and write, they notice they have completely changed their point of view. That's actually a normal thing. Next, we'll write the topic sentences, about 2 to 3 of those. What's a topic sentence? A topic sentence is the first sentence of a body paragraph, those middle paragraphs of your essay, that tells the reader specifically what the paragraph will prove. Let's go back to our thesis and see what topic sentences will come from that idea. For this essay, we can see that we will need to expand on certain ideas for our argument about Little Red Riding Hood to be persuasive. Can you tell which ideas will expand into paragraphs? Our first idea that needs development is how the story reminds readers how men prey on the innocence of women. And second, we must expand on the idea about how women in the story must develop wisdom and tenacity to overcome dangerous males. Topic sentences for this paper may look something like this. Little Red Riding Hood reminds readers how men prey on the innocence of women. Thus, women in the tale must develop wisdom and tenacity to overcome the dangerous males. So at this point, you will have about 3 to 4 sentences written, your thesis and your topic sentences. Remember, every time you write a sentence for your essay, know that it will probably change a little or a lot as you rewrite and draft. Now, what do we do within these body paragraphs? After your topic sentence, the rest of the sentences in that paragraph help prove that your topic sentence is true. How do you prove your topic sentence? With evidence, usually from outside sources you find in research libraries, like the library we have on campus. For example, our first body paragraph about Little Red Riding Hood reminds readers how men prey on the innocence of women. You can add quotations from the story about how Red's mother tells her to stick to the path, or how the wolf first approaches Red pretending to be kind and gentle, but really has intentions to eat her. In addition to researched evidence and quotations, a well-developed body paragraph contains your own ideas and your explanation on how the evidence that you're using proves your point. You want to link all of these ideas in your paragraph together with powerful words called transitions. Transitions allow you to show the reader how the sentences and ideas work together to prove your point. In case you're wondering, there is no set amount of sentences for paragraphs, but for essays in our class that are about 1,000 words, aim for 5 to 7 sentences for each paragraph. Now let's talk about conclusions. You may have learned that a conclusion should do the following: summarize your essay, restate your thesis, or talk to the reader and give the reader advice. Actually, all of these techniques are quite weak and hurt a paper in those last few moments you have with your reader. Summarizing your essay or restating your thesis are redundant at this point. If you have argued your point well, this is unnecessary, and your readers will turn off their ears, thinking that they don't need to listen anymore. Also, talking to your reader in the last few lines is often done in an attempt to move your reader emotionally, but that doesn't move the reader as effectively as you think. If you want the reader to care about your topic, you need to first understand why you care about the topic. Why is the topic important? In my class, we call this the so what factor, or relevance. Picture someone reading your paper, and when they are finished, they ask you, so what? In other words, why is your topic important? You need to spend time with your topic in order to get to this part. And honestly, this is what sets college writing apart from writing you may have done in high school. In the topic we've used, we've argued that Little Red Riding Hood contains a feminist message. So what is the importance of that topic? What's the so what factor? What's the relevance? Perhaps it's that Little Red Riding Hood is perceived to be nothing more than an empty bedtime story, and proving how the women develop in this story will help change that perspective. Maybe it's that fairy tales that center on women victims like Little Red Riding Hood or Sleeping Beauty all share common themes like gender inequality. Again, this requires some research, thought, etc., so it's going to feel much more difficult than conclusions you may have written in other classes. Also, all the sample essays I share with you in this class have thought-provoking conclusions that answer the so what question, so take a close look at those for guidance. And lastly, let's take a look at introductions. We've saved this one for the end because sometimes it's easier to write after you have all your ideas in order and developed. An introduction should do the following 3 things. First, hook the reader to keep reading, and you do this by being provocative. Provocative just means purposely trying to get a strong reaction out of someone. You can hook the reader or be provocative by starting with a very short story related to the issue. For example, for an essay about Little Red Riding Hood, a student may begin with summarizing the story using descriptive language within those sentences you tell the story. You can also use a shocking statistic concerning your issue. While you may have heard that using a quotation is a great way to start an essay, be careful when you do this. There are few composition students who know how to transition from the quote to the rest of the introduction. You can give it a try though. An interesting fact concerning the issue will also do the job here. Next, take the reader through basic information that they need to understand the essay. Remember that you need to provide the basic info that your readers need to understand your topic. So if there's something you need to define, this would be a good time. Or perhaps you need to describe why this topic is debatable. What are the recent events concerning your issue that you need to tell the reader so that we can understand your essay better? Finally, provide your thesis. Your last thought before you begin your body paragraphs should be your thesis statement. The reason that's a good idea is that your thesis can help transition to the meat of your essay, your body paragraphs, your evidence for your argument. So those are the essay basics, but here's one more thing I want you to consider. Writing in college is not the same as the writing you did in high school. You may have learned that you need 5 paragraphs or that you can't use I. Well, that's not necessarily true. Every essay is different. While using 5 paragraphs is not evil and can help you get your thoughts in order very effectively, just know that your final product may not look exactly like your classmates. You may have your intro over 2 paragraphs, or you may have 7 paragraphs in total. Also, I will provide guidance and many samples about the best structure to use for the writing we will do this semester, so things won't get too wild or chaotic. Take your time to read the samples I provide. Your writing will improve as you read good writing. With these ingredients and organization, you will be able to put your thoughts together in a meaningful, effective way.
Created using Powtoon.